Hi, I'm Ann Peck, and this is Straight Talk for a Curvy World. Today's topic is active appreciation. And today we're going to discuss the short version of active appreciation. When we're talking about active appreciation, where it comes in most handy in my life and in the lives of the clients that I work with is when we're dealing with something that is causing our emotions to go in a direction that we're either not comfortable with or we're not prepared for, things that generate feelings such as grief or shame or pain or loss, those negative feelings that keep us from focusing on the positive and moving forward. So in those instances, active appreciation can be a wonderful technique to lift you up out of that moment that sometimes is easy to get pulled into if we're not consciously aware of what's going on. So as an example, if we're talking about grief, maybe it's the end of a relationship, perhaps it's the loss of a loved one, and we may be feeling things that come up for us. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's frustration, maybe it's just missing that person or that situation. So when those feelings come upon us, the technique of active appreciation can shift how we handle those situations. And done consistently, what you will find is that active appreciation will actually remove the charge of those situations and feelings that you have been feeling overwhelmed with up to this point, perhaps. So what's an example of active appreciation and how do you apply it? Let's take the situation of my father's recent passing, which I've spoken about before. When I find myself overcome with the pain and the waves of grief, where I easily get drawn into tears and thinking about him and feeling sad and all of those things. An example of active appreciation would be this. Even though Dad is no longer here, I remember when he talked to me on the phone when I was troubled with what was going on in my personal relationship, and I am grateful. So that might be a little busy for you to kind of grasp. An easy way to think about it is, even though, and then you name the person or the situation that's coming up for you. So even though my ex-husband's being nasty to me, I remember when, and here's where you identify something that you remember about that person or about that situation, and you identify something positive. Now, it may take you a while with some situations and or people to find something, even if it's small, that's positive. But I guarantee you there is something positive in every situation, even if you have to dig for it. So let's use the former spouse as our example. Even though my former spouse was really nasty to me in the divorce process, I remember when he sat up with me all night long holding my hair because I had the flu and I was vomiting. And I really appreciate him doing that. So that's an example of using active appreciation with a person and or situation that is causing us to deal with feelings that are preventing us from moving forward, either in the long term or in the immediate situation. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about situations in your own life where perhaps it's, again, maybe it's an old boss, maybe it's an old partner, maybe it's the relationship that ended, maybe someone passed away, maybe you lost your job, maybe you lost your home, maybe the money's gone. Whatever the situation is, what happened, when you think about that, I remember when is where you put in the situation and the specific example that you appreciate about that individual or that situation. So even though this happened, they did this, I remember when And then you identify something positive, even if it's a tiny positive, and I am grateful. So that's the shortcut version of active appreciation. I'd love for you to try it, and then see that space right down there below the video? Share with us your experience of using active appreciation. Also, in that space below, if you have more questions, please post them for us. I would love to get this community sharing more, just like we did on the grief video, because in the experience that I've had since posting the grief video, we've had lots and lots of help and support for everyone. So let's do that again. Let's pull together. Let's use active appreciation to help us through the rough spots. And let's share with one another the successes we have in doing so. Even though I'm not sitting there with you in person, I remember when I got those private messages and those posts on my Facebook business page thanking me for sharing, and I am grateful to all of you. That's an example of using active appreciation in a situation that maybe isn't so traumatic. But active appreciation will change your life. It did mine. I'm Peck. This is Straight Talk for a Curvy World. Until next time.